Twilight Struggle enters a challenging phase when the mid-war begins, adding a whole bunch of interesting cards to the deck. In this video we will show you how the strategy shifts for both the US and the USSR in the mid-war. This is Legendary Tactics. In turn 4 of each game of Twilight Struggle, a fresh group of cards are added to the draw deck. Tonally, there should be a feeling of a slight shift towards the US, as there are some great events that are added to the deck like Voice of America and Grain Sales to Soviets. Let's take a look at the breakdown of the mid-war cards. There are 7 1-ops cards, 4 of which are US events, 2 belong to the USSR and 1 card is neutral. Of the 2-ops cards, 9 of them are American cards, 4 are Soviet and 5 are neutral events. The 3-ops cards are more even. There are 5 of these cards featuring US events, 6 are Soviet and 4 are neutral. Interestingly, there are 4 4-op cards in the mid-war deck, 3 of which are Soviet and 1 is neutral. Finally, and most notably, 4 new scoring cards are added to the mix. This opens up all regions of the board to scoring opportunities. There is a total of 48 cards that are added for a total of 15 neutral cards, 18 US cards, and 15 Soviet cards, which provide a total of 104 operations points. These are broken up relatively evenly with 27 neutral ops, 37 US ops, and 40 USSR ops. Partially because the hand size of both players increase, the average ops per hand will be close to 20, and after the headline and hold cards are taken into account, each player should have between 15 and 17 operations points to spend each turn. For both players, the mid-war is all about expansion, with Europe, Asia, and to some extent the Middle East remaining static outside of some brief flurries of activity due to some disruptive events. Central and South America and Africa will be the focus. All these regions are, for the most part, characterized by battleground countries that are 2 stability or less, making coups much more swingy, especially in Africa. But with the DEFCON level typically remaining at 2, realignments are going to be much more valuable, and events like Brush War being potentially quite disruptive. As stated earlier, in a normal arc of the game, the USSR will begin to feel the tide of the game slowly turn against them, mainly because of some great and powerful US events that are added to the draw deck like Voice of America, Grain Sales to Soviets, OAS Founded, and Ussuri River Skirmish. Other early war events like NORAD also have the potential to make themselves felt. It can be difficult to give specific advice as the mid-war strategy relies so much on how both sides come out of the early war. In general, I would say that the USSR should go for an early win, the US should hang on and try to remain at least even in every region, and to vigorously defend spots where they have the advantage. At a minimum, make sure you maintain at least presence in every region, and keep watch for ways to deny your opponent access to regions while trying to create points of access of your own. For example, the USSR is vulnerable to being shut out of South America, and it isn't unusual for the US to lose access to the Middle East. As the US, be aware of the effects of the Muslim Revolution card, as it can undo a lot of good work in that Middle East region. This is why it is so important to control Israel and defend it strongly. And both sides can expect Thailand to remain a point of contention throughout the mid-war, either through direct influence placement or coups, as it will be a common target of the ABM Treaty event, for example. And in Africa, the US needs to protect against a realignment or takeover of South Africa by the USSR, as it is the one point of stability in the region. I find that if it falls to the Soviets, it is usually because of neglect and inattention, so don't ignore it. Find the ops to hold it, and aim to keep it as your main point of access to Africa. We hope this short little guide gave you a few ideas on how to manage the mid-war in the game Twilight Struggle. If you benefited from it, please take a moment to like, comment, and subscribe down below. This is Legendary Tactics.